Okay, welcome everyone to the Black Design Collective. My name is Lola Wusu, and we are here with Jay Bolin. I'm very excited today because I've heard so much about this man. Honestly, since I moved to LA, every client, every person,
Oh
every stylist house I work with, your name has come up so much. So I'm very excited that you're here today. So
man.
welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Um, I'm very excited today, guys, if you can't tell. But for those of you who don't know about this amazing man, I will give you a little bit. He is a celebrity stylist with a very diverse client portfolio. It includes people you know, of course, Tyra Banks, Vivica A. Fox, Boris Cujo, Morris Chestnut, Wendy Raquel Robinson, Yolanda Adams, Donnie McClurkin, Christina Milian, Mary, Sarah Jakes Roberts, Niecy Nash, Michelle Williams, Keisha Knight Pulliam, and so many more. Obviously, so many people you love. So obviously, a great person because, I mean, come on. And since then, becoming an amazing stylist, he has a very personable, from what I hear, outlook on life, and his innovation has remained very competitive in this landscape of style, and has led him to start the House of Jay Bolin, which is all things creative. We'll get into that because I'm very excited to hear more about that. But welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel like I need you on the road with me anytime just to introduce me. I appreciate that. Make a brother feel good, okay?
We did good. So, they're relaying things
Wow.
you've already done. So let's just start. Where are you right now? Where are you?
So I'm based in Dallas, Texas right now. So I am sitting in the house of Jay Bolin right now, as you just spoke about, and I'm here and it's quarantine time. I'm normally like from hotel to hotel, but since quarantine and coronavirus has had us all, like, I won't even say stuck, but just in a place of solitude. Like I'm here. I'm at home.
That's great.
I just had a baby girl, so she is 4 months. So she had, like, so the entire world shut down.
Right, what
You know
she
how
did.
Beyonce says "world stop."
Right.
That's exactly what happened after 2 days of her being born. Literally everything completely stopped, which is
Wow.
pretty awesome because
Wow.
I was able to spend a lot of time with her.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I can imagine with your busy schedule that was a blessing to have her just all to yourself, really.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
and honestly, it was like, I was really battling, as in this market when we're on the go and all over the place, and like you get that little guilty feeling sometimes, like being away from your family and being on the go and not having time for relationships, with your
Yeah.
friends, and you're not being a good brother, you're not being a good son, you're not being any, like, relationships are just downhill sometimes
Yeah.
when you're an entrepreneur, and so this has really helped me to gain those relationships and make them more healthy. This
That's
time has.
amazing. I usually ask this later, but since we're getting into it, how are you and normally balancing this, the work that you do, but also the family, and then how do you feel like it'll change after all
When
this?
things open back up,
Yeah.
that's gonna be the real test, Lola. Is really seeing, like, okay, so now you're calling yourself balanced and you're in a good place, and you know
Yeah.
go to bed on time, and you get a chance to spend time and build all these healthy relationships. But obviously, like to anything, you want to be able to apply what you've learned.
Right. Exactly.
So I don't want to just have medicine that I've been given and put it in the medicine cabinet. Like, I want to take it, I want to digest it, I want to see it work. And so,
Exactly.
and it's always been really difficult balancing. Like, it's been difficult balancing, being in the workplace, in the marketplace, and having family and having
Yeah.
friends. Like, that's always been a huge deal for me. Sometimes I ignore it.
Yeah.
I ignore all things around me just so I can just get the job done and get the purpose done that I've been called to do. But sometimes purpose is not just about work. Sometimes purpose is about relationships. So I've learned
Exactly.
that. Yeah.
Exactly. Get on. You got to do the things that you want to get the things you want, but that also includes like your relationships, your love, your time, all that.
Yeah, and then the world doesn't revolve around just us. You know what I mean? So yes, it is about us getting the purpose done, but then we're meant to help others. We're meant
Exactly.
to help other people. You know, to speak with them and to talk to them and get them through their day. You know, it's not just about us. It's not about what you can do for Jay Bolin. Like, pick up the phone and call. Can you call such and such? Or you have such and such. And honestly, you know, you never realize it until those selfish moments start to happen and you're able to reflect on them. And you
Right.
start thinking, wow, that was really selfish of me because I never really asked the person, how are you doing? How can I
Right.
help you?
Ooh, I have those moments where I'm like, did I even ask?
I
I
love
told them
that.
everything I was going through. I did not even.
But I totally get it. But the whole balanced world, I think, is something that we're all, you know, still figuring out.
Yeah.
It's a day to day.
I understand fully. So going back to your or who you are, how you got started, what was your aha moment in terms of getting fashion started? Did you grow up in Dallas, and then what was that? What was the aha
So
moment?
I grew up in Mississippi.
Miss-
I'm from Mississippi, a small town called Roxy, Mississippi. And, you know, honestly, the aha moment was the world of social media.
Okay.
You know, like, so I'm in Mississippi. Like, how the heck do I get seen as a fashion stylist
Mm-hmm.
across the world without social media? You know,
Yeah.
like, there's no way. So I started out with MySpace. Started with MySpace and made my page all beautiful and
Love
have
it.
my top 10 friends, Lola. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes. Yes.
everything, everything that I needed was literally done virtually. And so up until this day, I have to say at least 90% of my clientele that I've had throughout my entire career has happened virtually, has happened via social media base.
So
Um,
you knew that you wanted to do styling, and then
yeah.
you saw the platform as MySpace. What about the
Well,
market?
I identified
Okay.
what a wardrobe stylist was when I got on MySpace.
Ah,
So I knew that I was always interested in being in the entertainment market. I just didn't know what
in what
what
capacity?
it would be.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm from Mississippi, so we didn't know what a stylist was. I didn't see rolling racks. You know, all you see is what you see
Right.
on television. And so I saw someone else call themselves a wardrobe stylist. And so I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And I said, well, what is it? And I looked a little deeper and it said image consultant. And so we ended up going to ask.com, if you remember what that was.
Oh, great. I love I grew up in the Bay, so all of this is like the Silicon Valley is just it's
Yes.
nostalgia for me.
Listen, so to ask.com and we figured out that it was called image consultant. So I grew from an image consultant on social media to a wardrobe stylist on social media. And then I was like, you know what? I see a lot of people call themselves like celebrity fashion stylists. And so I was like, I'm going to label myself as a celebrity fashion stylist and let's just see what happens.
That's
Let's
so
see,
great.
let's see what happens.
So
Like I labeled myself before I allowed the market to label me as what
wow.
I wanted to be. And then as soon as I did that, that's when celebrities started reaching out to me.
So who was the first person to give you a shot?
A shot was Melinda Williams from A Bird from Soul Food. You remember
Oh
her?
yeah.
Yes, Melinda.
Yeah.
So on Twitter, I said something to her on Twitter like, "Oh my God, you're so gorgeous! Can't wait to work one day." And she was like, "Sure, when do you want to work?" And I was
Just
like,
okay.
like, "Okay, how does this happen?" And so she was really, honestly, one of the first people to take a chance on me without really knowing me, without having credentials, without having like this huge resume. And she flew into Mississippi by herself. She
Wow.
flew into Mississippi by herself and came and did a photo shoot with myself and a team of people in Mississippi that I worked with. And I mean, the photo shoot turned out amazing.
That's
And
so great.
so,
Yeah. So how did you know? I'm thinking, okay, this is your first time styling a client. People know her name. Where did you know to go get clothes? Where did you know? Like, what was your?
first of all, Lola, I'm in Mississippi. So there's no such thing as a showroom. There's no such thing as pulling. There's no such thing as a stylist. Like I'm one of the first stylists to come out of the state. So there weren't many people that were
Yeah.
educated on what a stylist was. So when I go into a store and say I want to do a pull, like you go
Yeah.
to Los Angeles and you say, oh, I'm here for a pull, they get it, they understand. You go to
Exactly.
Mississippi and I'm here for a pool, they're like, excuse me?
Uh-huh.
And then honestly, I'm a grown African American male
Yeah.
that's going into a predominantly Caucasian market in Mississippi of fashion in general,
Yeah.
of boutiques and stores and stuff like that. I honestly would get to know every single corner, like, no, 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 we don't know you and we're not going to give you our clothing, and you feel entitled. You start thinking like, but I have a celebrity. I'm working with someone special. You should let me get your clothing. And honestly, that was ignorant of me to think that people were just going to give me something off of word of mouth. So I
Yeah.
had to literally set up intentional meetings and really have chatter time and talk and building those relationships and uh, date without dating, if that
Yeah.
makes any sense. So you know
Yep.
what I mean, like figuring it out, sending chocolates and roses to different store owners. Like, hey, I just want to be a part of your world. If I can just pull one piece at a time, like you don't have to let me take a huge amount of pieces. Just let me take one piece,
Wow.
and
Wow.
then next time I come back, it'll be two pieces. The next time I'll come back. So just building that, right?
Yeah. And
Uh,
that's really good for people who are starting out right now. I mean, granted, it was a different time, and if you're in different areas, I know people are watching from all over, but just knowing that like you have to think outside of the box. Like if it's
yeah.
not available for you, like no matter what, it comes down to people like people, and people like to be appreciated.
They like to be appreciated. And that was the one thing that caught their attention. And outside of that, going to those boutiques, I went to a lot of Salvation Armies. So I went and I got clothes from Salvation Armies and would style them up and make them all beautiful. And I would go to vintage stores and I would get vintage clothing and I would just polish it up and make it look as fabulous as possible. And outside of that, I would go to my friend's closet. I would go to like our friend's closet and say, hey, do you mind, like, pretty please, if I could just borrow a few of your shoes, a few of your
Yeah.
dresses, and then I would show up on set, have things laid out like I've been to showrooms across the world, and in reality, I've just been to my friend's closet.
That is amazing. That is amazing. So from friends' closets to this long list of stylists or
Yeah.
clients that I could barely breathe through. And, what do you feel like was a huge thing that you wish you had known in the beginning that you learned, now?
One thing that I wish I had have known in the beginning is how to do business.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of us we're all creative, so we love doing what we do, and we'll do it for nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are moments where we would just do it for nothing because we absolutely love to do it. Well,
Exactly.
I mean, honestly, well, we know that doesn't pay bills over
Mm-hmm.
time, and that doesn't sustain us. That keeps us as struggling artists. And I want to get out of the mentality and the mindset of being a starving artist, a struggling artist, an artist that hustles. Like I wanted to be seen as a businessman. And so I had a client that fired me, and I got fired because I didn't turn in receipts on time. I didn't turn around things on time. Like I didn't do business, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to do business,
Uh,
honestly. Let's just be real. I didn't know how to do business. I've been to school. I have a degree. I'm educated,
right.
but I
That's
didn't know how.
different.
But that's completely different. I didn't know. I didn't know how to do business. I just didn't know how to do it. And
Yeah.
so when it comes to creating Excel sheets and turning things around on time and doing letters the proper way and responding to people in a great amount of timing, I had no clue what that
Yeah.
was supposed to be like. And
That,
so I wish then that I had been a better businessman. Now I've learned to become a businessman now, and I love teaching others how to become a better businessman. But
great.
then I wish I had known how to be a better businessman because I would be way ahead of the game right now.
Mm,
You
I
know.
understand. I understand. And it really is knowing both sides of it. And we've talked about that a lot here, but in terms of being a creative and then also knowing your business and creating this clientele and finally getting your foot set,
Yeah.
business is very important for that. So once you figured that out, what mindset did you have to change in order to, because I know you started your own brand and
Yeah.
now you have the House of J. Bolin. So what was that mindset shift
That
and what did
shift.
you have to do?
Well, from being a struggling artist, a starving artist, to being homeless, to watching your home get taken away from you, to both vehicles of my family being repoed,
Wow.
to watching everything that I had in storage being auctioned off right in front of my face. You know, that brings a perspective where you're like, I don't want to struggle like this. I don't
No.
want to be this guy. And I still had to be Jay Bolin at the same time. So I still had to perform for my clients. I still had to
Yeah.
smile. I still had to push the brand forward in the midst of all this, all this chaos. Uh,
Wow.
so and then when I started to become a businessman, I still would pay things late. I still would do things behind. I still, like, there were certain things I still just wouldn't catch on to. And one of my
Okay.
friends told me one day, I remember I had a car accident, and I told my friend, I said, I'm so upset, I don't know what to do. And she was like, well, what's wrong? I said, well, I had a car accident. And she was like, we have insurance, just take care of it. And I was like, I don't think my insurance is activated right now. She was like, what do you mean? And I said, I think that my insurance is deactivated and it's dormant right now because I didn't pay the bill. And she was like, why didn't you pay your bill? And I'm thinking, girl, don't ask me that. Like, why
Not right now. I mean,
right, why would you ask me that? And so I told her, I was like, you know what? She was like, you had the money, you didn't pay the bill. And she
yeah.
said that you have to get out of the poverty mindset. And
Hmm.
so that was the flipping moment for me, is that I had to change my perspective of, even when I had money in my bank account to get ahead, I
Yeah.
still stayed behind because that's what I was used to. And
Hmm.
so when I changed my mindset of living in poverty
That's
and
huge.
a poverty mindset,
Yeah.
literally things completely changed for me. Now I'm paying bills ahead of time by the grace of God. You know what I mean? Thank the Lord I'm able to even pay a bill, but to
Yeah.
be able to pay a bill, ahead of time. I remember the days where I wasn't even able to pay a bill, thinking about now having access to pay my bill and then someone else's bill.
Hmm.
But me changing my mindset from from the poverty mindset
Yeah.
to now living in abundance, where I'm able to bless and take care of someone
That's
else's bill. I
yeah.
would have never thought of that day of being able to help the next person. And that's really what the House of Jay Bolin is about
That's
as
that's
well. So it's about all of the doors and all those moments, all the things that I wasn't able to learn,
hmm
all those doors that were closed of the fashion houses that I went to, because I'm a
right.
Southern boy who didn't have all the big credentials like all the other Hollywooders. Like, I wanted to build something for others that don't have quite the resume, don't have quite the credentials, don't really have the business mindset, and really come from a poverty mindset background.
Right.
This is where you come and you break free. This is where we have training courses. We have our couture creative room where you come in, you sit down, the chairs arch your back because you have to sit up straight. And we're doing business and we're pitching and we're talking about your business, where you're going. And we're not just talking about the
That's what
creative
it is.
side.
It's a collective. It's a creative collective for
Yeah.
people to. Please explain exactly what you
So,
guys
so each room has its own thing, Lola. So this
love.
is the fun thing. So, like, the kitchen that I'm sitting in now is called the Hunger Creative, and so the Hunger Creative means that obviously we can eat, because most creatives don't eat. So we try to better ourselves as creatives in our eating, in our
That's
healthy way.
good.
You know what I mean? Because we will eat junk
Really
food and a burger all day long.
refined on
Listen,
the way.
so this is where we learn how to take care of our temple. This is where we learn how to take care of our bodies. This is that place. So if we want to have a chef come in, if we want to cook ourselves, God bless us in our moments of trying to cook for ourselves.
Yeah.
It's not, that's not good. But this is the Hunger Creative. And then across from me, I have a huge, like, great couch seating area that's really plush. And you take off your shoes, and this,
hmm
we have iPads and computers, where the creators are able to just come and wind down.
Wow.
Like, take your shoes off, sit Indian style. Then we have the couture creative room, which is a formal dining room of the home, and
Ah.
that's where business is handled. This is where
Okay.
we're pitching the ideas. This is where we're thinking and strategizing through things. And
I
then we
love
have
that.
the seal the deal table, which is our money green table. There are green chairs, and it's a white table sitting up under a chandelier. And so
Great.
this table makes you think of, okay, it's time to seal the deal. lock it in. This is where we bring in all the final ideas and really get down to the business.
That's so great. So how are you picking your team? Like, who are the other creatives that you're working with?
Honestly, I keep open cast. You know what I mean? So like people, honestly, I get DMs and emails
Yeah, sure.
daily from different graphic developers, from
Mhm.
different brand strategists, from different hairstylists, from different makeup artists, and this. I mean, most people know that I love to work with people that are up and coming, like people that are on their up and up. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? They're like, listen, I have no clue. I really want to learn. And so I love being able to create those opportunities for them to come in and to be able to develop and me offer whatever advice I possibly can.
that's amazing. That's
And then I have some people, there's someone who told me, I said, how do you get everything to be so well done? You know, they said, whatever you don't know, hire somebody around you who knows how to do it.
that's
You know what I mean? So I've also brought in and strategically hired people
okay.
that are insanely amazing masterminds, at this thing, and they help me behind the scenes every day.
That's awesome to have it both ways, and I think it's important, and I don't think enough people get that it helps you as a developer to
Yeah,
help develop somebody else, but also keep yourself surrounded by people who are amazing at what they do. I feel
yeah,
like that's why you're so great, is having both aspects constantly around you of teaching and knowing what you know and teaching it to somebody else, but also like knowing that you don't know
yeah,
so much
yeah.
other, and there's people who are of caliber by you. So that definitely speaks a lot to your success. So thank you for sharing. So we're
Um,
going to get a little bit into your personal.
okay.
Um, so what is your everyday personal routine? I know that it's a little different now with COVID, but what is your daily routine?
That first, what I just did, which is breathe.
Good.
Like if I could just
Uh-huh.
breathe in the morning. So this morning when I woke up, honestly, this is just transparency.
Yeah.
What normally happens is that I will wake up and we all will flip over and get into our phones and start checking text messages, emails, everything that's coming through. And in reality, that's like the wrong thing to do. Like
Yeah.
that's the get up and go in us that wants to just get the day rolling. But
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, there's no get up and go without us, without God. Just being straight
Yeah.
up, right?
Yeah.
So like I literally try my best to get up and give myself some affirmations of who God says I am, so that I'm not conforming
Ah,
throughout the day. Like
that's,
so I don't want to have to conform to what the market says I am, to what the comments on my social media page says I am. Whatever the gift is that we have, we're offering it to the world. You know what I mean? We're pushing it out. We're pushing our content and showing
yeah.
people our lives every day. So it's very easy to get caught up into what the world thinks of you. So,
So
and
good.
what clients think and what emails
Yeah.
are coming through, and you
You
know,
have to know what your thought is, what your mind is,
your
because
mind
everybody's
is.
asking you questions all day.
So,
Yeah.
and I have to get up and just re-energize and rejuvenate myself daily by getting some sort of word in me, getting the word in me, and then also listening to some inspirational music, getting myself rolling, getting me some Tasha Cobbs Leonard in me, some Todd Delaney, all those cool people, Jonathan McReynolds, just some great music, and then I get my day started.
Mm,
I call my team up. We check emails. We go through, make sure there's nothing that is crazy happening with the company,
yeah.
and we go through old business, new business, and then throughout the middle of the day, we're seeking out how do we develop and make the business even better. At the end of the day, we are normally fulfilling whatever vision that we've had. So if we've had a vision. Like sometimes I'm a good visionary, but sometimes
Yeah.
it's difficult to be the implementer. And
Mm,
so now we kind of wrap up the end of our days by taking the end of the day implementing whatever we had a vision for.
that's
Like putting in
good.
the work for it, literally. So
Exactly.
and then I come home, I have to I gotta be a daddy, I gotta be a husband, I gotta be all the
Yeah.
friend, so that's my world right now. And
Love
that's pretty much my day to day. And when I don't do that, here's what I don't do. When I don't take that moment to breathe and to meditate in the morning time and to welcome the presence of God into my own
it.
life,
Mhm.
I normally get beat up. I normally start like people start punching early in the morning. And it's like, my God, can I just start the day all over again? I'm saying, have you
Right.
ever felt that way, Lola? Like, where you just had to start your day
Yes.
all over again?
Yes. And I'm like, oh, and it's because I didn't give my first fruits. Hold on one second. Let me just.
Let me just start all over again. But that's pretty much my day. And then the enemy will beat us up. You know, in the morning time, that's like your most vulnerable time. You're getting up
It is.
and you're getting your day started. And the enemy starts telling you that you're too old, that you're out of the market. You're not as good looking as some of the other people in the market. So other people are going to do better than you. Someone's going to steal your shine if you don't hurry up and do things the way that the market says
Lies,
you're doing
lies,
now.
lies.
So it's all those lies that come to you. You know what I mean? You gain too much weight, like all those things.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason why I get up and I try to center myself every single day.
That's awesome. Are there any specific like books or apps or anything that you
Oh, yeah, there's one called, there's where I get my devotionals from every day. It's called Daily Devotional. It's a
okay, yeah.
it's a pretty good app. You know, it gives me a quick word, some quick affirmations. I go directly to it, and YouTube. You know, I blast my music all throughout the house every day. So I'm trying to run my neighbors away.
Right. I fully, and it's important to not just keep it in the morning, but it's definitely something like the music helps you
Today.
reiterate everything you meditated on in the beginning of the day. So yeah, I fully, and you can
Thank
just
you for
go
that.
through his list of clients, y'all.
Yeah, no, thank you for that reminder. You know, thank you for that reminder. Like to, you know, to not just do it in the morning time, but to kind of play it out throughout the day because it's definitely helpful to stop and rejuvenate. You know,
Yeah.
stop and eat, stop and figure things out versus like literally just go, 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 go. We're in a mode. I'm normally in a mind of grind, 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 grind,
Right.
and then I'm looking for grace, 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 grace. I'm like, whoa, wherever grace is where I want to be, but the
Right.
grind is what I have to do. So how do I marry the two? You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Exactly. And this wasn't planned, but just knowing and having a few conversations with some of your amazing clients and the wisdom that they have, like you are just blessed to be around such amazing people who are funny, talented, gifted, spiritually, musically, every
Yeah,
creative way. Um, is there anything that I mean, obviously you give to them as well because they're such givers. What
yeah,
is that relationship in terms of giving and taking, and your relationships with your clients, and how does
yeah.
that play out in your meetings?
You know what? So I'll be honest. In the
Hmm.
past, I have been the person that brings a wall. Like there is nothing outside of doing business with the client. In the
Yeah.
I am the guy who says no dinner with the clients, no fraternizing with the clients, like do business and go home because when it's time to get paid, I don't want to be on an emotional roller coaster.
Right.
I just want to give you a service and I want the check. You know, so that's the way that it's normally been. But then the reality is that we're all called to one another in different situations, at different moments, at different times of people's lives. And so we're meant to play vital roles and different roles with people. And sometimes it's not just business oriented. Like as much as I try to make it business, it is business there, but then there's also some personal life. Sometimes people share the most personal things with you. You have to, you know,
Yeah.
gather and give your advice on what you've learned, or just be there to be a listening ear, or to be there to just be able to give a hug, you
Hmm.
know. And so the relationships that I have, honestly, it's been so cool because sometimes you feel drained when you leave a client.
Yeah.
You know, feel like that person like took your soul away. You know what I mean? But then I've been so blessed that a lot of the clients that I have, honestly, it's been a very much give situation. Like we've all been able to learn and glean from one another when we're around one another.
That's great.
Um, whether it's business, like Sarah Jakes Roberts and I, like we have like this really cool like group message with one another, and we're talking business one day, we're talking family one day, and you know, like it's always the cool things, always the cool conversations that are happening. And you know, who would have known that a client and I will be able to have all these kind of conversations that are very helpful to one another.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
beautiful.
I text Tyra. I was watching a few episodes of America's Next Top Model on television.
Yeah.
I was watching this show and I was thinking, man, like I was literally homeless when America's Next Top Model was out, where I didn't really have
And
cable.
those moments.
Yeah, I didn't have cable to even really watch it, so I had to go to people's homes to watch it really. And so when I did watch it, I was really watching reruns. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Whenever it was time, whenever I was able to get cable. And so I'm like, I'm able to sit here and text and talk to Tyra directly. And I would just share it with her. Yo, listen, I'm able to text and talk to you now. I said, but I'm watching a television show that was in the moments in my life that were like detrimental, you know, but those were building. Now I look at it, I'm like, okay, God, I see what you were doing. Like you were
Full circle.
literally building character out of me and building me to be a better person. Because if I had been offered this opportunity when I was watching America's Top Model,
Right.
I would not have been able to handle it.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's great to see. And it's not only great to see, but also great to hear you talk about it in that way, because so many times, especially when you're on the go and like you're on the up and up, you forget to take in those moments of like, man, like you don't even remember that you were once, homeless.
But the quarantine did it. Because
You
before
know?
quarantine, I would have never been watching episodes like that, like full out seasons. I would have never been able to do that, in the past. But now I was able to just kind of sit
Like,
and
wait a
focus
second.
and talk and like take in a moment, embrace a moment, because like I know, Lola, when you're on the go, you really don't have a time to really focus on. Oh my God, that was such an American Music Awards. That was such a great moment, and this was such a great moment for Essence cover. This was such a great moment. All these things.
Yeah. They just keep
Things
you.
that all of us creatives would love to just stop and focus on. I have friends who have done all these amazing things, and we're always laughing and talking like, man, I didn't even have a chance to really like take that in.
Yeah. And
But
it's great
now
you are now. So what would you say that you're the most proud of then?
the most proud of, I would have to say, is being able to do for others, honestly.
Yeah.
Like my proudest moment is actually Bolin. So actually Bolin is actuallybolin.com is really where I coach, I teach, I give back, and help others. So I'm passing on the torch of whatever I've learned. That person doesn't have to suffer and go through some of those same things. I think that's what building kingdom is about. Building this market, building the industry is literally being able to help others to not have to deal with some of the things you've dealt with, which is really when somebody says leaving a footprint. Like if a person is following your footprint, they shouldn't follow your footprints necessarily on homeless, things being, the car being repoed. I don't want another person to have to go through that, for God's sake. You know what I mean? Like there are some things that we'll definitely teach and learn that each person will have to go through individually themselves to learn. I feel like that's just character building.
Right.
But at the same time, there are things that you and I can teach and the rest of us can teach that are listening to people that will help them to not have to dodge a lot of those bad situations.
So very true. And I will finish this off as we are coming down to our time, but I think it'd be important to say, I know there's a lot of negativity going on, especially right now, in terms of politically, racially, what you name it, the fact that we're in a pandemic. But in terms of all the negativity, what are you the most proud of in people in the community that you see during all of this? What are you proud of? Because I think it's important to talk about
what we're proud of.
Yeah. And
I am proud of our consistency. Our consistency lately has been ongoing because sometimes things will happen, everybody gets hyped, and then everything dies down.
Yeah.
The consistency lately has been, we will stand for change and we will continue to fight for what is right until right becomes right.
Yeah. I love that.
You know what I mean? Like it's like we're gonna beat it into anybody's head, anybody's mindset. It's different this time. Like everybody is like, we are going to show the world that equality is the answer. Equality is definitely something that everybody's deserving of. God made us all.
Yeah.
Supposed to be, you know what I mean? So Black Lives Matter, and that's really the thing that I'm most proud of. Like, we're just consistent as a culture, as a people, and we are out here. We're building legacy, so
Yeah.
that our children don't have to deal with a lot of things that we're dealing with now. Like, a lot of our ancestors definitely fought for a lot of things that we didn't have to necessarily face, but then there are some things that didn't necessarily people didn't take on to. Like, there were some generational things that people held on to and held on to and held on to,
Hmm.
and those things are creating mass racism across the world. And so now we're having to, it's coming up, and it's like
Yeah.
all of that has been exposed, and
Yeah.
the people have come up, and we're like, we're not taking that. You're not going to talk about us like that. You're not going to treat us like that. We don't need anything. And when people are becoming a part of, when people are not being racist, it's not doing us a favor.
Hmm.
You know
That's,
what I mean? We're not accepting it as a favor. We're not
yeah.
accepting it anymore as, oh, you're doing us a favor. Like, no, you're not doing me a favor by not being racist. What you're doing is you're supposed to be
Actively.
right,
Yeah.
right, absolutely. So I am very pleased at our consistency, and if we continue to be consistent like this, it's going to continue to bring about even more change in our
Agreed.
community.
Agreed. So I love that. I'm so agreeing with you.
So
But
the word is
the
consistency.
word is
Listen, my
yeah,
people are not playing any games right now, and I absolutely
I love
love.
it.
I
I
love for
love
what
all of
we're standing for.
it. Agreed. Well, thank you so much for joining us here with the Black Design Collective. Thank you for your wisdom and your continued, just talent and the fact that you give back and the fact that you just give us your creativity in general. You're just an amazing man, and I'm so glad that we were able to talk with you and hear from you. I wish you all the best with the House of Jay Bolin and baby
Thank
girl.
you. I appreciate that, and thank you, Black Design Collective, for having me. I know that this is a platform that is consistent as well, and building a community and building, because we didn't have this when I first started. You know what I mean? This was nowhere to be found, and so this is a part of that consistency that I'm talking about. We're not only in the streets protesting, but we're building. And so
Yeah,
we're building, we are able to have our own, where we don't have to run to ask and knock at everybody else's door. Black Design Collective is helping us to build.
that's great. Yeah,
You
that's so
know,
true and so right. I wish this was around when I was just starting. And I think the people who founded this and actually created it into action. I wish everybody, honestly, generational wealth, because I feel like this is the time we're actually doing it. And this
yes,
is the time that we are collecting together to make it actually happen. So
yes,
thank you so much for
no problem. Thank
everything.
you for having me.
And we'll see you all later.
All right. Bye, guys. Y'all have a good one. All right.
So